Check, check, check.
Checking.
1, 2, 3. Check those chickens. Here it goes.
Greetings, listeners in Listenerland. Welcome to St. Louis in Tune with Arnold Stricker and Mark Langston, where we size up current and historic events involving people, places, and things in areas such as the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, government, health, history, housing, humor, justice, and sports. We originate from and connect the gateway city to what is going on in our state, our Midwest region, our country, the United States of America, and the world.
That's right. And the universe. Don't forget the universe. We have universe stuff.
The Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, man. Well, we are way out there.
What's happening, Mark?
Well, not a whole lot. We're kind of starting to get back in the groove a little bit. So it's fun to get St. Louis in Tune back up and going for the brand new year we have here. So this is kind of fun. We had a long December, I think.
Right.
Because for those that don't know, we moved the studios and combined the studios with other stations.
It was tough picking up all that 2x4 and drywall.
It was. Sticking it in your small car, your little Volkswagen you have, and then taking it down here. So, So but it's kind of fun. We're getting there, Things are looking up. And
takes time.
It does take time. Something I don't know if we all have or don't have much of.
Speaking of time, that's a very good segue to our our return to civility.
Oh, good. It's about time.
And this is, you need to think about this, folks, because living gets in the way of life.
Oh.
And here is something that you need to think about. I think in life, we get caught up in the minutia, and unfortunately, it generally takes some sort of tragedy in your life to put things in perspective.
Boy, that's so true. That's a scary, true statement. Don't like that.
And we were driving down the road the other day, and all of a sudden, some guy did some big U-turn. Some people were out of the car, and I thought, somebody's getting carjacked.
Oh, no.
And then the car does his turn. This guy's got his window down. And he's yelling out the window obscenities. And then the guy got in his car and took off after him. I'm like, I don't want to be around when that lands,
Wow.
But what does, and I get upset about things too, you know, and when you think about when you're really sick, when you get told you have cancer,
I know,
or you have, some debilitating disease, or gee, you can't walk, or you had a stroke or a heart attack or something, it puts all of that nonsense. It should put all of that nonsense in perspective. For some people, unfortunately, it doesn't.
I know. And then you try to tell folks and help kids or whatever and tell them about it, like life is short. You can't explain things to people sometimes.
No.
Like having kids, you can't tell somebody what it's like to have a kid or not to have or be married. There's just some things, life experiences that you just can't. You try to tell people, but they just don't understand them.
Right.
And they should try to.
Kind of like, don't touch that hot stove.
I think it's the word faith. You need to have faith sometimes in what people tell you. Faith is a tough one.
Well, some people think they have it on their own.
Yep. And they have all the answers.
Yes. Which is not good.
And it doesn't affect me.
So speaking of answers.
Oh, I love answers. Okay.
We're starting a new segment on St. Louis in Tune, which is giving you new words.
I love it. I can't wait for the word for the day.
This word is dysania.
Dysania.
D-Y-S-A-N-I-A. Dysania. It is.
I would never have spelt it that way, just to be.
Or maybe it's dysania. It could be. I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced.
Dysania.
Dysania might. Yeah.
Wait a minute, Arnold. Don't you need to know how to pronounce these things?
No, I just want to know the definition.
Do you know what I do sometimes? I go to I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but sometimes I go to dictionary.com and then they've got that little speaker on something like dysania. I can't even.
And I've seen these before where they say it different ways.
Dysania.
If you pay $5.99, we'll say dysania.
Right. And it tells you how to pronounce it. I'm going, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it pronounces it. Some like little AI is
some computer saying it.
Yeah, but they tell you how it's like dysania.
How is Desania
I
pronounced?
know it. How does Desania? I could probably, maybe I should try to look it up.
It is the state of finding it hard to get out of bed in the morning. I'm going to use it in a sentence.
All right.
Sorry, I'm late for work. I suffer from Desania.
And how do you spell it again? D-Y.
D-Y-S-A-N-I-A.
S-A-N-I-A.
So I'm looking it up here.
Desania.
And
I love it.
oh, you got to go through these minute things.
Uh-huh.
It's ridiculous.
I know.
So anyway, the 27-second version, the 11-second version, or the 17. D-Y-S-A-N-I-A. It means hard to get out of bed in the morning.
Uh-huh. Well, that makes sense to me. And I have that problem.
Right.
How to overcome Desania? I just found this.
Go to bed early.
Follow a schedule. Avoid caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine.
Right.
These can disrupt your sleep.
That's correct.
Limit naps. Oh, I can't do that. I sit on the couch and I start slobbering.
Drooling.
It's right. It's an immediate drool. In fact, around my house, it's like, Dad can fall asleep faster than.
Is that why there's rags around the house? The kids have said that's your drool rag.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
what's happened to this
so
show?
you know what's going on right now about this top secret document kind of stuff.
What's this?
Yeah, I think
Where do we
everybody, it's like
come on.
everybody's going to find some top secret document somewhere.
I know it.
And so I want to read this to you because
Okay.
it's kind of funny. And I was, if something's confidential, it's confidential.
Right.
If something's top secret, it's top secret. Now, did all of these people who are alleged to have done this, did it themselves personally? Or was it somebody who worked for them or whatever who worked for them? I don't care,
Yeah. Right.
So listen to this.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, 1984. 13-year-old Kristen Preble's social studies class was having show and tell, and so she brought in something her father had found in a hotel room a few years before, a 4-inch stack of federal government documents labeled classified confidential executive. Preble's teacher confiscated the documents and turned them over to the FBI after perusing the documents on Iran, Libya, and other countries. The 8th grader got a B on the assignment. Procedures for handling classified material have gotten stricter over the past 40 years, but recent document security breaches by Donald Trump, President Joe Biden, and now former Vice President Mike Pence aren't the first such incidents.
No.
We feel comfortable asserting they won't be the last either. The National Archives asked other former presidents and vice presidents on Thursday to look at their personal records and see if they turn up anything that shouldn't be there.
Right.
And part of the reason for this is like, how classified are some of these things?
Right.
Are we classifying a toilet for the military?
Right. Right.
So should some things not be classified that are classified?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Lindsey Graham was asked if he had any classified stuff. He said, if you go to my house, you'll just find bags from fast food restaurants.
I was going, is this a joke or what?
No, it's true.
Seriously.
And I'm like,
Does he not clean up after himself?
I guess he's not married.
I know. Yeah.
So it's
So you can't throw him in the trash?
No, I don't
He
know.
wants somebody to pick up after himself? He never learned that from his mother or being at the Air Force?
Right. He's hoping a constituent will come over and clean up after him. I guess. I don't know.
If you give me another $5 million,
Yeah, right. I know it.
I can
What
do
is
that.
going on there? I know.
Oh, so I want you to play cut number, the 0 cut,
Okay.
and tell me afterwards if you know who this is.
All right. Here
Listen to this, folks.
we go. All right.
Come on ahead, Alexander's ragtime band. Come on ahead, it's the best band in the land. Well, he can play a bugle call like you never heard before. That's the best band in the land. Come on along. Let me take you by the hand. To the man, who's the leader of the band. If you you wanna hear that Swanee River played in ragtime. Come on here, come on here, Alexander's ragtime band. Come on here, Alexander's ragtime band.
Now, this is like drop the needle in music history class.
All right, Country Bears. I don't know. I've tried to come up with it, and
Folks, what do you think listening out there? Who do you think that is?
All
right.
Can I get a multiple choice? Can you give me?
Yes.
All right.
I need to give you multiple choice.
Yeah. You have to come up with all.
Oh.
I don't care how many you do, 3 or 4.
Oh, well, I'd have to think about
I
that.
know we should have done this before.
Yeah, I'll figure that out next time I do this.
Yeah, we'll prep it up.
All right. So
I can't.
Somebody whose name's Barry
Manilow.
and Maurice.
Barry and Maurice. Wait, who is that? That's the Bee Gees?
Yes, that's the Bee Gees.
No.
Yes.
No.
And what's the other guy's name?
The
2 brothers that passed away.
G. I don't.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Andy Gibbs. No.
Yeah, Andy's another brother.
Yeah. No,
that was the 3 brothers Gibbs.
That was the Bee Gees.
That was the Bee Gees.
No,
Play a little of that again, and you can kind of hear it. Barry's singing the lead.
Really?
Got the little Australian accent there.
Come on ahead, Alexander's ragtime band. Come on ahead, it's the best band.
I'm waiting for him to go.
Was this their audition tape?
It was one of the first television appearances.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees. And the 2 brothers are like 11 and 12 or something.
Wow.
And Barry must be like, I don't know, 16 or something.
Unbelievable.
I was waiting for him to go into the come on here. Come on here. But he didn't do that.
Stop. I like the Bee Gees. Which is probably a flaw in mine.
I thought that, wow, that was really interesting.
That is interesting now that I know it's the Bee Gees, now that you mentioned that.
It's kind of like when you listen to, Stevie Wonder, but before he was Stevie Wonder, he was, what did they call him?
Stevie. No, I don't know.
No, he had was it young Stevie Wonder?
Oh, it was young. Yes.
And now,
Correct.
what was the point at which they left the young off?
I don't know. That's true. When do you stop being young and being just Stevie?
Right.
That's a good question.
But
if we ever interview him, we have to ask him that. When did you stop being young?
He would say never.
I know. I would.
I would too.
Yeah. That's right. He was young Stevie Wonder, and then he just became Stevie Wonder.
Right. It's kind of, wasn't Little Richard? He had another name before he was Little Richard.
I don't know.
Like,
you are just a wealth of.
And Little Richard, he was young too when he got his start.
Right.
And maybe the name stuck because, when do you stop calling somebody Little Richard?
Yeah.
Because he was a kid.
Right.
Now you're Big Richard or you're Medium Richard
or you're just Richard.
Yeah, you're just Richard. Or you're using your first and last name then.
Richard. Right. Yeah.
Those stage names.
Are you become Dick? Isn't Richard Dick?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Or Rick or Rich.
Rich. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So maybe you stop being.
It's kind of like Richie Rich, that cartoon character. That's like Richie Rich. What the heck is this?
Hear people tuning out right now. No,
they're like, "What are you talking about, dude?"
But you're right. You're right. That's kind of interesting. And don't you want to brand yourself and have it the same all the way through?
Well, and I was watching something. You would think.
Yeah.
I was watching something the other day that Johnny Cash was doing an impersonation of Elvis. It was hilarious because he was doing all the gyrations and everything else.
Oh, that must be good.
And the reason I'm bringing this up is because when you follow an artist from when they first start, like Michael Jackson, like when he was singing with the Jackson 5 and, the father had him out front and everybody. And then
those was different.
Then it was the Jackson 5. And then it was it Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5?
Right. Yes, it was.
And then it was just, I don't need you 5. I don't need you other 4. I'm doing this on my own.
Right.
And then Michael changes his look.
Oh, Totally.
But it was just an amazing kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you see it, it's kind of like the Osmonds, the same kind of deal.
Oh no. here we go.
Yeah.
The Osmonds. No. Is this what's happened to our show? The Osmonds?
No, I'm
No.
talking about how groups progress
Yeah.
because you see a lot of these bands. I saw the concert of the Elton John farewell tour that was actually done out in Dodger Stadium.
Oh,
A great, I saw Elton when he was here in St. Louis, I don't know, 72, 73, something like that.
wow.
And what a performance back then. But the guy's been around for like playing for 6 or 7 decades, and he put on it was like an hour and 20 minutes straight.
Wow.
And the guy's like, what, 76, 77?
And no bathroom break. How did he
no
do
bathroom
that?
break.
How did he do that?
Depends on what you're doing.
I don't. Ooh, it depends. I like that.
Depends.
It depends. I know. Okay, stop it.
But wonderful. And his, I recognize the guitar player and the drummer, his
They were same
original
ones?
guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Wow. That's kind of
It was
fun.
wonderful. Great concert. If you get a chance to see it, I think it was on, I don't know, it was
Mm-hmm.
on Apple TV or
And it'd be Sir Elton now.
it's Sir Elton, right? But that movie about him was actually very good also.
Hmm.
It kind of gives a little perspective into what he was going through in his life.
Right.
But love his work. But, to see an artist progress from their
Mhm.
first stuff into where they are now and all
Right.
these people going through, Mick Jagger, what is he,
Old.
yeah. And what's his face was old when he started with the Stones,
Right. I'm kind of that way with Billy Joel. I remember him at the American Theater,
Right.
seeing him when he first came out,
Right.
and how he didn't, he was just a young kid, and pounded on that piano, tickling the ivories,
Right.
and just watching him now, he's fat and bald and rich,
Yeah.
like you.
I'm just bald.
And rich. Is that right? Okay.
Oh, you got Paul Simon.
Yeah.
There was a Paul Simon, some kind of not memorial concert, but like recognition concert of him that other artists were singing his songs.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure he was thinking, yeah, that's great, but I sang it better. But or
Right.
something like that. you
Right.
know?
I had a list. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can find it this quickly, but there was a list of old artists that are starting to get kind of old now,
I saw that.
and
I saw that.
and who's left.
A lot of them are up there in the upper 70s.
They are, most of them, and the ones you wouldn't even suspect are in their upper 70s.
Oh, Paul McCartney is what, 78, 79,
right?
maybe more.
It's amazing how old he is. Let me see.
Saw that movie too. That the Beatles, Let It Be.
Uh-huh.
Not the movie Let It Be, but it was that documentary.
Yeah.
Oh my, that was fascinating.
So aging musicians still with us in 2023. Willie Nelson is 89 years old, still smoking dope.
Exactly.
You know he is. I know.
Maybe
I know. And I'm not. Paul McCartney, like I said, he's 80 years old right
Okay.
now. Grace Slick, 83. Tina Turner's 83. Ringo Starr's 82.
Wow.
Who knew that?
Richard Starkey.
Uh-huh. That's right. Bob Dylan, 81. Paul Simon, 81. Neil Diamond, 81. Brian Wilson, 80. Like you said, Paul McCarthy's 80. Steve Miller, 79. Barry Manilow. I like Barry Manilow. Call me crazy. 79. Mick
Crazy.
Jagger is 79 years old.
And the guy struts around like he's 25.
Elton John, you're just talking about Elton John. He's 75.
There you go.
Alice Cooper. How's Alice Cooper still alive? 74. Actually, I met Alice Cooper. Nicest guy in the
Yeah,
world.
school's out.
Really nicest guy in the world. Billy Joel, 72. How about Peter Frampton? You remember that?
Yes, the hair
Oh,
and the guitar.
72. He's not that old.
No.
Stevie Wonder. I don't know if he's little, young, old Stevie Wonder, I guess we could call him. 72 years old now, which is not really old, is it?
And you know why we're reading all these folks? Is because this is our generation in the 60s and 70s when these guys were big.
Right. And you probably know some of them.
Right.
John Fogerty.
They kind of go,
Now, Eric Clapton, 77 years old.
wow.
The oldest on the list, though, is Willie Nelson. Oh, they do this by
89.
by age. Yeah. Yep. So they're doing this list by age.
Yeah, Willie's going to have a separate wing in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Is that right?
No, I'm just making that up
Oh,
because
okay.
he's doesn't really fit into a lot of the categories of.
Right.
And that was another fascinating documentary watch was country music by the guy that did the baseball one.
Okay.
People know what I'm talking about.
Do they? 'Cause
The baseball
don't.
documentary. That I can't think of his name.
Okay.
He does a lot of these documentary things, and
Okay.
he did one on country music. It was very, very good.
I heard. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I have not seen it. I'm an old country person myself. Country.
That's right.
You know, and it's not country western. It's country. So, I heard that there was that
Ken Burns.
Oh, okay, yeah. And I heard that it was a really great
It was very good.
special on country music.
Again, and that Beatles one. So, folks, if you can watch those, we don't get any kickback on that deal, but just interesting to watch. So,
why don't we get a kickback?
I wish we did. Yeah.
We need to get a kickback.
So we're going to come back. We're going to kick the show back after a little segment break here. We'll be right back. You're listening to St. Louis in Tune with Arnold Stricker and Mark Langston on the U.S. Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to St. Louis in Tune. On each and every show, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories and interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. Hey, we cover a wide range of content in the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, and humor, justice, and sports, and that's just to name a few. While St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we connect to what is going on nationally as well. If you missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There you'll find every show from our first to our most current. Use the search engine and look for a show that might interest you. And if you have an area that you'd like us to examine deeper, let us know. Just drop us a line at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune, heard Monday through Friday on the usradionetwork.com and many great stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. Our website again is stlintune.com. stlintune.com.
Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston. Mark, there are some wonderful things that are going to be happening in the next few weeks, and a lot of it involves, if you have the German background, which I am 3/4 German.
I got some German in me.
Yeah.
I got some.
And a lot of interesting things I've learned. And our guest, Danita Allen Wood, she is the co-owner of the Missouri Life, which is Missouri Life Media. And there's a lot to ask about that. But she's going to be talking to us about an exclusive showing of Exploring Missouri's German Heritage, which is a documentary that's going to be occurring on February the 23rd. Danita, welcome to St. Louis in Tune.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, when I got a hold of this, I was like, this is wonderful. But my first question is, tell me about Missouri Life. How have I lived in Missouri and not known about Missouri Life?
Well, we're trying to correct being a well-kept secret. Our magazine is actually turning 50 this year, so we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. But I have been involved for the last 25 years, and we are a magazine we have been compared by readers to a blend of Arizona Highways, Texas Monthly. We're not quite as hardcore as Texas Monthly, but we're a regional statewide magazine, and we actually have the largest paid circulation magazine in the state. So,
wow.
So we're here.
And what kinds of things would people find in Missouri Life?
Oh, we do a lot of day trips, weekend getaways. We do history. We do some lifestyle things. What we really like to do is surprise our readers with something, even the readers who've lived here all their lives, that they have not heard of. And we get some of those letters. They say, I've lived here all my life. I didn't know that. So that's our mission.
Well, you surprised me with this particular documentary, and not with the documentary, but what it contains. And talk a little bit about the documentary that's going to be at the John B. Bush Brewery Event Center in Washington, Missouri on February the 23rd.
Yes, the documentary is a 90-minute documentary, and we show it in segments. And we've broken the documentary into the really substantial impact that the early German immigrants had on our state and country. But we of course, are focusing on Missouri in different aspects of our culture. It's not just what you might think of as the wineries and breweries that they started. That's fun. But they also had really heavy impact on agriculture, on science. The Science Center might not be the same if it hadn't been for some of the early Germans. The Missouri Botanical Garden was heavily influenced when it started by a German scientist. And of course, the Christmas trees we took down just recently. So really kind of every aspect of our lives, in the kitchen, in our gardens. And so we try to show a lot of that influence on our state.
A large, I should say, proportion of German immigrants came to St. Louis area, but that's not dismissing outstate Missouri, Herman. There's a huge, well-known population there, and even throughout the state. I'm not quite sure about the German population in Kansas City, but how has that been dispersed? Washington was another large immigrant German population.
Yes, many of the immigrants, in fact, most, probably came up the Mississippi River, and then many continued on following the Missouri River west. So really pretty heavily, even through Jefferson City, had a large German immigrant population, but even further west. And then they left the river. I like to mention Coal Camp is kind of an amazing preservation of German heritage. So really throughout the state, you're going to find a lot of people with German heritage.
Now, I was reading some on the documentary that it was inspired by the book by Dr. W. Arthur Mierhoff, and he, along with Mark Hausman, who is a historian on this particular documentary, what kinds of things make this documentary, with their hands-on approach or their influence, why should that be something that people would really want to go to?
Because those two, the late Mark Hausman and Dr. Mierhoff, don't you like that German background?
Right.
Dug deep into this heritage, and we have rare photos, some still images interspersed with the video of unique places that we went to that might surprise people that had such a heavy influence from the Germans. One of the things that we show that just fascinates me in particular is a house barn, but the public can't get into that, so it's a way to share some of the heritage that is remaining. It's one of the few house barns actually still standing in the country. There are a handful, but
now this particular documentary, it also goes along with some food.
Food and music.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because it's right now when we're recording this.
Now you're talking.
It's now I probably shouldn't have mentioned that.
Yeah.
Because now my stomach's grumbling.
I know. Why'd you do that? That's mean.
My mouth is watering.
Hateful.
Tell us a little bit about that, Anita.
Yes. You're going to make us all hungry.
I know he has. He has. Yeah.
We do have a 4-course German dinner.
Oh, come on.
And the entree is going to be a schnitzel over sauerkraut with a gravy. And then we have as well the best of show brought over that sauerkraut.
Oh.
And this was an international best of show. It's Wurst House, who is catering, who's bringing the meal, and Mike Sloan, the owner of Wurst House in Herman, will be there. And I'm just going to say, you have to win best of show in Frankfurt, Germany, making sausage or brats. You have to know.
You better know what you're doing.
You have to be.
Oh my!
You have to have almost a perfect score, and he did. So we're going to be serving that along with red cabbage sautéed in wine from Stonehill Winery.
Sauerkraut?
In
Any
Herman.
sauerkraut? Any sauerkraut?
And yes, the schnitzel and the brat will be over the sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And,
I can't stand this. Okay.
Then we also have Mike Sloan's old family recipe for German potato salad. They're warm.
Oh, it's warm, yes.
Why did we have to go there? Okay.
All followed by a beautiful Amish cake.
Ooh.
Ay.
And this all is going to be in what I really didn't have any understanding about or knowledge of, and I've been to Washington many, many times, is this John B. Bush Brewery Event Center. It's a National Historic Landmark.
Yes, you've probably heard of his more famous younger brother,
Correct.
Adolphus.
Right.
With Anheuser-Busch, but John B. Bush Brewery was actually the first brewery in Missouri, and started by the older brother of Adolphus. And now it's an event center. It's a fabulous place. I was in it before it was an event center, and so it's going to be it's going to be a fun venue to have that history combination with what we're doing. And I should say showing, and I do want to mention the zither music, if that's okay.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Now, do you know what a zither is?
A zither? Yes, I do.
What? Tell.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait. Arnold, what is?
You can describe it.
Yeah, Arnold, please describe. Yes, let's put him on the spot.
A zither is, this is what I recall, a zither is a stringed instrument that is played almost kind of like a horizontal guitar.
Excellent. That was how I was going to describe it. But in addition, it's kind of a blend. It's been described as playing 3 guitars at one time.
Sounds like a steel a steel guitar to me, almost.
Very similar.
But different. Kind of
Right.
a blend between maybe a harpsichord and a guitar.
Wow.
We have 10 zither players in an ensemble who will be performing. So we're very excited about that.
We're talking to Danita Allen Wood. She's the co-owner of Missouri Life, and she writes for them. Missouri Life is a travel and lifestyle magazine, has more paid circulation than any other Missouri magazine. Also, many award winners. You also do some television programs, which we'll get into a little bit later. But folks, if you want tickets for what we're talking about, go to MissouriLife.com, and then German documentary. You can plug that in there. Now, Danita, proceeds for this are going to where?
Well, a portion of the proceeds will be donated to the Washington Historical Society Museum, which is where the late Mark Hausman was an executive director, and we're donating a portion in honor of him.
And people will take home not only great food and great understanding of German history in the state of Missouri, they also have some specials.
Yes, we'll have a little goodie bag that they can take home with them, and it will contain the Explorer Missouri's German Heritage book by Dr. Mehrhoff, and some other German and Missouri-themed little goodies.
Now, when you all picked up on this project, was this kind of something in the works? Was this a collaborative kind of effort between the book and the late Mark Hausman? Was this kind of on the docket, and it was something that was done previously, or how did this all come about? What was its origins?
Well, it was actually sponsored by the Missouri Humanities Council.
Okay.
A former executive director was successful in getting the legislature to declare a Missouri German heritage corridor from St. Louis to Herman and perhaps beyond on the river. And he was very interested in helping call attention to and showing people the value of this German heritage so that we might work harder to preserve it. So they were the sponsor of the book. And then as we were talking, we had seen all these wonderful things. We decided we should try a documentary. It was Missouri Life's first documentary. We have done television. We have a Missouri Life TV show, and we've done that for 5 seasons and convinced ourselves we could make a documentary.
Well, and I want to let the audience know also that you are 3-time regional Emmy Award winners. So it's not like you don't know what you're doing with this. So this ought to be really, really good.
Yes, that's right. Actually, every season we've produced, I think it's 4 or 5 now, has won one of those regional Emmys. So.
Which speaks to the value that you place in what you're doing. And I saw some of your work on YouTube. You also have a YouTube channel. And that very, very interesting things, and a lot of the things that Missouri Life does. How did you get involved with this? Because I think you and your husband both have degrees in agriculture.
That's right. We both have Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, but we were in agriculture journalism.
Okay.
We both started at farm magazines, and then it just sprouted from there. Our interest when we left, we were at what is now the largest magazine company in the country. But when we left there to come back to our home state, I was teaching at the School of Journalism.
Okay.
And actually had the Emeritus Chair there. But we just kept talking about how this state ought to have a magazine somewhat like Arizona Highways, and we knew of many other state magazines. We just kept talking about it, and finally Greg went out and sold an ad, and I had to make a magazine. So.
And the rest is history. And how long ago was that?
That was about 25 years when we took it over. The magazine was actually started in 1973 while we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, but it had changed hands many, many times and declined to a very small readership until we took it over. So
it's always good to know about these kinds of things. It's kind of like the Missouri Conservationist, that particular magazine. They have some very interesting things in there. And folks, you need to do what Mark and I are going to do. We're going to sign up and become subscribers to get the magazine. And it's a print version, right? Or is it electronic, or how do people receive
print.
It? Okay.
It is print. At one time we tested offering it as a digital version, and we may do that again sometime in the near future. But at that particular point in time, people were still wanting to read it on paper and in their hands. I think we had a total of 3 who said digital only. So we have not gone that route yet.
Mm-hmm.
I saw your Katy Trail rides that you do. My wife and I did some Katy Trail riding last summer, and we'd love to do the entire thing. And I know you go all the way from, just past Sedalia and then down to St. Charles. I think as some of those, you have 2 of those set up, I think, for this year.
That's right. We'll do all the way from Clinton to Mawkins for the people who want that extra leg from St. Charles to Mawkins.
Wow.
But we call it BAM. It's Bicycle Across Missouri, Big BAM. And it's like a moving party, but it's so much fun because there's music every night. You bike during the day and you get to know everyone. You're kind of traveling along. Not as a group, you can ride by yourself, but you see the same people over and over every morning and every evening, and make new friends, and it's just so much fun.
So they stop along
I've
the
done
way.
it several times myself.
So you.
I'll tell you,
Well, I'm sorry.
everyone else works the event, and my job is the customer experience.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
So you stop.
I get to ride my bike.
So you stop along the way, and you have hotels set up. Is that it?
Yes, you can stay in hotels or you can camp. We also have a SAG support. We bring a
Good.
shower wagon, and you can, I mean, it's a very nice setup where you can have showers when you get to camp.
Uh-huh.
If you're camping, you can even have your tent set up for you
Right.
if you choose that route, or you can bring your own, and we move
Uh-huh.
all your gear for you to each new town.
Yeah, because I had heard about the camping along the way, and I thought that sounds like a lot of fun to me. To bike all day, sit down and camp, and have a nice campfire and sing around the campfire. I don't know if you do that, Arnold, or not, but and then move on. And especially if somebody's going to move your gear for you, what the heck? That sounds like a wonderful time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we can move the tents and the luggage, your
Yeah.
luggage.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, folks, we encourage you to take a look at MissouriLife.com and get into that particular website, because you'll find more about the documentary on the German heritage that's going to take place at the John B. Bush Brewer Events Center in Washington, Missouri on February the 23rd. You can get tickets there. That's where you can find out more information about times, etc., like that. And Danita, we appreciate you coming on St. Louis in Tune and giving us that information.
well, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to talk to you, and with your German heritage, made it even more fun. I was expecting you to say some German words.
Well, I would say,
Sprechen die Deutsch?
yeah, well, I could go into,
There you go.
Auf Wiedersehen, or I could go into some of the dialogues that I actually remember from high school.
Okay.
You know,
I
But it
think
talks about
probably-
pencil sharpeners and things like that.
Pencil sharpeners.
Bleistiftspitzer.
Okay. Oh my. Oh, no.
Well, I'll say danke. Danke.
bitte.
That might not be the way you pronounce it.
Yeah, that's there. You're good. Bitte.
Just don't encourage him. Okay.
Thanks, Danita. You take care.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, how sweet is that?
I had no clue about that Missouri Life magazine. Did you ever hear about that?
No, didn't know.
And-
And BAM. I love the BAM idea too.
Oh, and I'm not a big camper. My idea of camping is, nice air conditioning and a nice queen size bed. So
Well, I don't do it without a cot anymore. And I don't even know if I've been camping a couple of years now, but I won't go unless I've got a cot.
if I had
and
to
a pad
do it,
and a pad with a cot.
one air mattress.
I don't like air mattresses. I like that they make a pad that you can use.
Okay.
Air mattresses are like they just kind of too wavy to me. I don't know.
It's not a waterbed, Mark.
I know. Oh my gosh! And we grew up and they had water beds,
Right.
Oh,
I had a waterbed.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
Oh no!
And it didn't have any baffles in it. It's before
Yes,
baffles.
they said baffles were the way to go.
Oh yeah. This
I
was
had
like,
friends and we'd sit on them and we'd just kind
oh
of.
my, yeah.
it's
It was like
being
a
on the
tidal
ocean.
wave.
And did you have a heater on yours?
Yes,
Because people
I
said
loved it.
you had to have a heater on it,
Oh yes, I loved it.
or you'd be freezing.
Yeah,
I guess in the summertime it'd be great though.
it was nice.
And how did you empty it? Just poke a hole in
You
it.
just put a hose on it. Yeah,
Let's put a hose.
it's
on
kind of like
it. It has a spigot on there. Or something?
yeah, it's kind
So
of
you
like
hook a hose
an
up
air
and-
mattress that you would have. It's got like a valve like
Uh-huh.
that, and you put a hose on it.
And then away you go.
Just didn't want to make sure you had a leak.
Oh, I can't imagine.
It'd be a real big problem.
Oh Lordy, I can't imagine that.
No sharp objects. be a problem.
Gee whiz. I don't even know how you'd make a waterbed. That's got to be. They don't make sheet. They don't make like the bottom sheet for those, do they?
No, it's a lot like sheets now for those big mattresses, because a lot of people don't use box springs anymore.
Right. No,
It's
that's
just a
true.
big mattress sheet.
Crazy.
Go in there.
You had a waterbed.
Yeah.
That explains so much.
With my lava lamp. I
It's
never
like,
had.
oh, did you
Never had. No, I never had a lava
know?
lamp.
Wow.
Never had a lava lamp.
Wow. This is more than we want to know. Okay, what? I think you had a lava lamp.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
So this brewery-
bell bottoms too.
I had bell bottoms.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
yes.
Right.
This
A Nehru jacket? Did you have a Nehru jacket? Is it one of those?
I had something like that in Chunka Beads.
Oh, check of beads. Okay. Wow.
He's getting ready to give me
I
some
know.
sound here.
I don't know which one to give you.
There you go.
Okay.
But this brewery
Uh-huh.
this Bush Brewery, it's the original one, the largest brewery in the city in Washington, operated until 1953. It was established in 1855.
Wow.
And John was the older brother of Adolphus, who established Anheuser-Busch.
Right.
But he built this mansion right next door to it, and it's just like this huge, unbelievable place. And then you got this big brewery.
And where is this?
This is in Washington, Missouri.
I never knew this.
And the brewery is now home to the VFW Post. And the mansion is right next door to it, like I said.
Huh.
There's pictures online if you can look at it. So I'm going to read a little bit about John Baptiste Busch.
Okay.
He was born in Rhineland region of Germany in 1832, immigrated at the age of 17, made his way to St. Louis with his brother George. He established the first Bush Brewery in 1848. John trained there for 2 years, then attended college in Illinois, Missouri. He and his brother Henry and their friend Fred founded the brewery, which was initially called the Washington Brewery. It was not the first one, but it was the largest. And eventually John remained the sole owner, and Adolphus would travel to St. Louis with his father-in-law, who was the guy who kind of really got it going.
Oh, okay.
But the brewery stopped producing its own beer for good in 1918 after Prohibition. And after Prohibition was repealed, it began to bottle Budweiser for Anheuser-Busch. They didn't close during Prohibition. They started to make ice, soda water, and even potato chips. John passed away in 1894 at the age of 62. His son continued until 1937. His son carried on the family tradition until 1953. They rented it for many years as storage for the Corncob Pipe Company, which they made corncob pipes in Washington. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Douglas MacArthur, the corncob pipe general, it's where he got his corncob pipes.
Oh,
I remember going to that as a kid, the corncob pipe factory.
Right.
So
I didn't know that about Douglas MacArthur.
Yeah, he smoked a corncob
It
pipe
was a
from
big
Washington,
one.
Missouri.
No, I knew he had one, but I
Yeah.
didn't know it was
No,
in
a big one,
Washington.
yeah.
Yeah. Washington, he filled that thing up and
Yeah.
smoke it all day.
How do you get the tobacco out of that?
Nah,
Just beat that thing
Yeah,
up?
you whoop on it. Yep. Yeah.
Don't know.
It's ash. It probably at some
That's
point,
true.
come out a little easier. Still a lot of,
Yeah, but drilling those corn cobs, drying those things out, drilling them out.
man.
I remember you could buy some corn cob pipe things when you left. I got to
Right,
get one of those.
Right,
you know?
right.
I was always fascinated by that stuff.
Yeah, we have a German movie here. I don't know if you want to do anything with that.
A German movie?
Yeah, little drop thing. 01.
Oh, yes. Go ahead and play that. It's a little intro to this particular documentary.
Okay, here we go.
Some experts argue that no other immigrant group has had a greater influence on Missouri as the Germans. They streamed into St. Louis in the early 1800s and followed the Missouri River westward. They found rolling hills and broad valleys, a beautiful country that reminded them of their beloved homeland in the Old World. Today, we want to explore that unique heritage to help encourage a greater appreciation of Missouri's Germans' influence upon our state's development.
So, folks, if you want to get to that, go to MissouriLife.com/German documentary. I think the tickets, they're a little expensive. But if you want this, you're going to get food there.
Good food.
Good food. Yeah, really good food. Matter of fact, let me read that again. The 4-course meal of German dishes made by Hermann, I know they call it Wurst, but Hermann Wurst would be the German pronunciation.
Oh.
Hermann Wurst House.
Okay.
With wine from Stonehill Winery, German beer by Urban Chestnut. Portion of the proceeds donated to the Washington Historical Society. It's shown in the original Bush Brewery in Washington. And the evening features live commentary from the author of Explore Missouri's German Heritage, the Emmy-winning producers, Emmy-winning Missouri Life TV host, Meredith, I think it's Haynes, and members of the Missouri Humanities Council. There's rare archival materials as well as places people can visit along the Missouri River. You'll see, sample the German culture, sample it, and their influence upon Missouri's development. So you get a little gift bag, you get 2 books, and it sounds like a really great time.
Yeah, that's great.
Sounds like a really great time.
It sounds like I want the bratwurst.
Yeah, and sauerkraut's really good for you. It's
Is
good for
it?
your system. Yeah,
Is
anything
that
that's
right?
fermented is really good for you. And I'm not talking
Oh, I
about
don't know
liquid
about
fermented.
this,
I'm talking
yeah.
about like food that's
Okay.
fermented is really good for you.
And that's where I come back to. Give the bathroom a few minutes before you go in there. Bratwurst is the worst for me. I don't know. I know. It's like,
Well, speaking of bathrooms, Mark,
oh,
I think my dog always follows me to the bathroom because I always follow him outside. And he thinks that's the way it works. You know, I don't mind coming to work, folks, but this 8-hour wait to go home is just ridiculous.
Oh, no. Okay.
So, you know, there are carnivores,
Parkers.
and there's people who are vegetarians, and there are people who are vegans. So this is a conversation between a vegan and someone else.
Mm-hmm.
The vegan says, the chicken you're eating had a family.
Oh, no.
The other person says, well, that's why I ordered the family bucket. No one gets left behind.
Oh. Oh, gosh.
I went to a hotel today and shouted, your wife is coming. And 77 men ran out of their rooms. I will go back tomorrow.
Okay. It's terrible.
Some people say, this is what a person says, how much faith do you have in the human race?
Mm.
Now, this is, I'm going to relate this to St. Louis.
Okay. All right.
People in St. Louis say, how much faith do you have in the human race? Let me back this up.
Okay. Hold on.
People outside of St. Louis say, how much faith do you have in the human race in St. Louis? People in St. Louis say, I look both ways at a one-way street.
Okay.
That's true. I told my daughter, go to bed. The cows are sleeping in the field. She said, what's that got to do with anything? I said, that means it's past your bedtime.
Oh. You did not say that. What's happened to
It's
you?
a Mark joke.
That is a Mark joke. Dad joke. even.
So here's between a husband and wife. The wife is doing some yoga.
Okay.
Darling, why are you trying to reach the ceiling with your legs? You don't understand these things, Carl. It's yoga. And this is the position called the candle. And does the fact that you just passed gas have anything to do with it? It's a scented candle. Now go away.
Okay. Get that horse out of here. Okay. Wow.
That's all I have.
Is that it? Give that room a few minutes before you go in there.
Gee, Mark. I've got another word.
Okay.
You know, we said that we're going to do a word for the day.
Oh, you have another one?
I have another one.
You have an extra one?
Snollygoster.
Snollygoster.
Snollygoster. SNOLLYGOSTER.
Snollygoster.
I'm going to use it in a sentence,
All right.
and you can use your context clues to figure out the definition,
Okay.
as the former educator says.
Okay.
Ooh, I wouldn't trust that Snollygoster further than I could throw him.
All right, I wouldn't trust that snollygoster. That'd be somebody that you don't like. I don't know.
An unscrupulous, untrustworthy person.
A snollygoster.
Snollygoster.
Oh, I like
I'd
that.
say all politicians are Snollygosters.
I want to use that now. Instead of calling people bad names, I just, you're a snollygoster.
You can, while you're driving, you Snollygoster.
I know. And they're going to go, what are you?
You didn't put your signal on, you Snollygoster.
And you will receive some parting gifts from us. Thank you.
That's right. Okay. Wow.
Oh, mercy.
Snollygoster.
I thought that was a good one.
That was a good one. That is a good one. That's a good one. Okay. Snollygoster.
All right, folks, you can say that we're all Snallygosterists, but that's little Stevie.
Yes, it is.
There we go.
All right.
That's all for now. This hour, Martians are coming sometime in the
Right.
near distant future, but we'll probably all be dead when they do. But don't forget, there's only one race, the human race, and every one of us have different characteristics and is uniquely valuable. St. Louis in Tune is a production of Motif Media Group and the U.S. Radio Network. For St. Louis in Tune, co-host Mark Langston, I'm Arnold Stricker. Thanks for watching and listening. Walk worthy and let your light shine.